let's now talk about our full slate of games this week. It's going to be so exciting. We have 16 games on tap.
The Lions are going to poop on the Bears.
Rams go up 14-3. Dak Prescott benched. Red Rifle Andy Dalton comes in, slings 3 touchdowns, 1 to Gallup, 1 to Cooper, 1 to CeeDee Lamb, and it's a wrap. Hello everyone, welcome to the WNP podcast. I am your host, Mike Mitchelson. Joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how are you today?
I am doing swell, actually. Got the new podcast mic set up. It's working pretty well. I hope I sound a little better now that we're separated. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm so happy I finally got this thing in.
Hell yeah, it's going to be awesome to have that there for you. And if you ever do anything else too, you can use that. If you go on a Zoom call with your girlfriend or, anything like that, you can use that and have just pristine quality. So
Exactly.
Definitely cool. Last week, we did not come out with a new episode. I was a little bit busy moving up to Michigan State University.
Partying?
I mean, no comment. But yeah, so Chase and I obviously separated now. I'm back at Michigan State. Chase is back in the hometown doing his biz with, the jobs and stuff. Like 4 jobs now? 6 jobs? What is it?
19
jobs. That's right. I forgot about the other 12. My bad.
Yeah, it's fine. It happens.
Yeah, but Chase, very exciting because this past week, we got a full slate of college football games. This upcoming week, we're going to have a full slate of NFL games. Something we've been waiting for a long time. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of stuff happened. We saw the postponement of many, many games. We saw the whole preseason get canceled for the NFL. So this episode is basically just us going to be absolutely giddy as hell. We're going to be like excited 8-year-old girls on this episode because we get to talk about some football.
Finally.
All right, Chase, let's first go over a little bit of college football. I know you and I both watched a couple games. Not big name teams. I apologize for that. But, it's football. We had to watch. It didn't matter who it was. The first game that I really want to take a peek on would be Eastern Kentucky versus Marshall. This game was an absolute blowout. But, Chase, it seems like you have your next Joe Burrow in mind.
Maybe quarterback Grant Wells for Marshall. He looked great to me. I know it's not tough competition, but he was throwing the ball well. He was reading the defense, reading the pass rush well, getting out of the pocket. Even in tighter pockets, was throwing the ball. He ran the ball pretty good. They're talking about how he could run 4.5 speed if he was tested at the 40, which is tremendous. So if he can develop those passing tools a little more, because you can see it's raw, but it's definitely got a lot of ability there. If he can develop those, he's only a redshirt freshman. He's got a lot of time. He could turn into a legit star, maybe a future NFL type guy, maybe not a starter, but maybe a guy who could land on some NFL rosters. I'm excited to watch him at Marshall. He's a local kid to the team. They haven't had one of those in a while, and Marshall's not really a place you expect to see quarterbacks groomed out of. So if we could see that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. This could be another Cole McDonald type player that, we know about him. We keep him in the back of our mind. We watch his games every so often. Do we think he's going to be an absolute star in the NFL? No, but definitely a guy to keep an eye on. So a fun game to watch as Wells balled out and brought Marshall to a 59-0 victory over Eastern Kentucky. Another game I want to talk about, Army versus Middle Tennessee. Army did what they do, 340 rushing yards, only 28 passing yards. That is the typical game plan of Army, and they perfected it and absolutely destroyed Middle Tennessee 42-0. I was watching this game and they were up big. I can't remember the exact score. Maybe it was 28 or 35-0, one of the two. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to switch back to Marshall, Eastern Kentucky. That game can't be further out, could it? And it was. So just absolute blowouts in the first half of games yesterday on Saturday.
Yeah, a little surprising. I just want to mention real quick. I didn't get to see a ton of that Army Middle Tennessee game, but I didn't think Middle Tennessee was great by any means, but I didn't think they were going to get shut out by Army either. So just a little surprising.
Yeah, for sure. And then the next game we saw, SMU versus Texas State. Not much to mention here. I mean, there was a nice competitive game, 31-24. SMU took that one. However, I do want to mention Jeremiah Hadal. He hauls in one of the nicest touchdowns I've seen in a long while and could potentially be catch of the year already. And it's only week one. I don't know if you saw that catch, Chase, but it was absolutely phenomenal. One-handed grab. Make sure you guys go take a peek at that on Twitter. Just type in Jeremiah Hadal. It is Haydel. Absolutely phenomenal catch.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if, week one, before any of the big schools have really even played, we already get our catch of the year. Southern Methodist, yet again, not another great program, but it was a competitive game. It was something that we had been really lacking, so far in that day. There was a total of 6 games yesterday, right? Total, and there was half were competitive, half probably were not. So this is probably the best game of them all, though, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And then the only really other game I really want to mention that was played was Memphis, Arkansas State. Just because Memphis is a little bit of a bigger name college, they took home their first victory, 37-24 over Arkansas State. A nice showing from Memphis, 37 points on the board in their very first game. And it's going to be hard for a couple teams, or a majority of the teams, because teams haven't been in training camp a lot. Teams haven't been doing scrimmages nonstop. So with COVID and everything, it's going to be a slow start season. However, Memphis able to put up 37, get their first win on the board. That's something you definitely want to see out of a team that hopes to be competitive in their division.
Yeah, we'll have to see here going forward.
Absolutely. All right, Chase, let's talk about Monday's game, because I know you are excited about Monday's game. This one between BYU and Navy. This obviously will be the most entertaining, in my mind, most competitive game that we have seen thus far when it comes to college football.
I'm very forward to watching Navy rush for 360 yards and then pass for literally 0 yards. They play a wild game. It's the stat lines they put up. They're super entertaining. Just seeing that it's just strictly rushing. Kind of like what Army did and does as well. But BYU, Navy, these are two actually legitimate competitive teams every year. They're not necessarily powerhouses, but they are competitive. So I really look forward to seeing what we got out of the guys in Navy and then the 27-year-olds married to 6 wives in BYU.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crazy thing about this game is the betting line is even. Usually, you see plus or minus 4.5 for it. Stuff like that. This one, completely even. They think these teams are toe-to-toe, just they match each other exactly. So definitely going to be a fun game to watch. So that's it for college football. Let's now move on to the NFL and talk about some of the bigger stuff. Yesterday, we saw the roster cuts, deadline. The roster cut deadline was intact at 4 p.m. We saw a couple big names get cut that were kind of surprising, honestly. I'll talk about them a couple here. We got Clinton Dix getting cut from the Dallas Cowboys. You see Mohamed Sanu get cut by the New England Patriots, even though they just traded for him last year at the trade deadline. Adrian Peterson, he gets cut by the Washington football team. Josh Rosen gets cut from the Miami Dolphins, and he is now searching for his third team in the NFL in only his third year. Super unfortunate for him. And then Philadelphia Eagles, they released Sidney Jones, a second-round pick that really, I thought, did okay in their secondary in what was already a pretty weak secondary. But those were some of the more surprising cuts. Chase, was there one you wanted to talk about specifically?
Well, there's also one that didn't happen on the cut day, but it was a cut that did happen that I want to bring up real quick. The Leonard Fournette cutting, that just made it's so dumb. Especially when I see that yesterday they're bringing in Devontae Freeman for a workout too. Why cut Leonard Fournette to bring in Devontae Freeman? What is the freaking point of that? The Jags just live to piss me off, because not even like it's a team that I cared about that much. It's a team that I think can exceed expectations, like, compared to some people thinking that they're just a lock to be the worst team in the league. But they clearly want to be the worst team in the league, so it's hard for me to kind of keep backing them up. But then the Hawkwind Dix was probably the biggest shock release other than Leonard Fournette, which even wasn't, I guess it really wasn't a shock either, because like there was talk about it all offseason. But seeing Clinton Dix get released, that was kind of surprising to me. I'm sure he'll end up on a team coming up soon. I would be surprised if he's a free agent for long. Also, another name not mentioned, Hakeem Butler. He's had a very short career so far. Still a young player, but I thought he was kind of a lock to make this Cardinals team. He was hurt last year. He didn't get much of an opportunity to perform, but he was healthy this year coming in. Looked like he could have had a chance to contribute, but I guess not. He'll for sure end up elsewhere, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, just wanted to come on really quick, let you know we just missed the Josh Rosen news. Josh Rosen did get signed to the practice squad of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. However, we do talk about him coming up right now. I think there's still some really good points that both Chase and I made, so I'm going to leave that in. But, of course, this is how it always happens. Right when we get off, something big happens. So, Josh Rosen, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just want to let you guys know. Thanks. I think Josh Rosen is one we'll take a look at more because he went through waivers and no one picked him up there. He is now officially a free agent, and I can understand that because rookie contracts are a little bit more expensive than if you just wanted to bring him in for 1 year for 2 or 3 mil. But very shocked. I thought my Bengals, I thought it'd be a good spot for him to go. He can compete with Joe Burrow. Obviously, Joe Burrow would assume the number 1 position. But, hey, if Joe Burrow isn't exactly who the Bengals think he is, Josh Rosen could possibly come in and compete. However, Zach Taylor came out and said, nah, that's not the direction we're going. And it looks like the Bengals are going to roll with 2 quarterbacks. Very surprising to me. Ryan Finley, who looked absolutely atrocious last year in his rookie season. And then Joe Burrow, who's a rookie. So, surprised by that. Chase, who do you think Josh Rosen could possibly get scooped up by? Who do you think is a team that he could fit in well with?
New England Patriots, obviously. I thought he was going to get traded to the Patriots from the Cardinals in the first place, and now he can just be signed for cheap to the Patriots. Why wouldn't he do that? The Patriots can just run the hell out of Cam Newton this year and then just leave him to the dirt next year in the offseason and push forward with Josh Rosen, someone who had a first round skill set. Obviously, he went 10th overall for a reason. If the Patriots can develop those the right way, then boom, they got their next franchise quarterback for 15 years. It's going to be stupid because it's exactly what's going to happen.
I agree that I think Josh Rosen would be a perfect fit for the Patriots. However, I'm not really sure because they do have Cam Newton, and we heard a lot of talk about Jarrett Stidham. So you think they'd have all 3 of those quarterbacks in the same locker room at the same time? I'm not exactly sure.
I would not be surprised in the slightest.
I think that the Jags should go out and pick him up. I know Gardner Minshew, a very cool guy. I love Uncle Rico, Gardner Minshew. However, I don't know if he's an NFL starter. Maybe very low tier NFL starter, but I think the Jags are moving off of their good players so that they can go get Trevor Lawrence. I would think it's cool though if Josh Rosen came in the room, they had a little competition between those two, see what happens. But yeah, I don't really know. This is going to be tough. I really hope Josh Rosen gets another chance, and I hope it's a real chance. I don't want teams to just bring him in just to be a backup and solely a backup. I want to get him a real chance to compete, a real chance to possibly become that NFL starter we thought he would be.
No, he's going to be a guy who's just given that courtesy to be a backup for at least the next few years. He's never going to get the opportunity to be a starter unless the starting quarterback goes down with injury. He hasn't done it in the NFL. I know sometimes it takes time to develop, but he's looked pretty ugly in his chances he's been given in the NFL. So maybe a different scheme and the right coaches, the right players around him could help change that. But who knows? He'll obviously be on a team somewhere. He's not just done. The first round picks aren't done that quick, especially quarterbacks. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt. He'll probably have to be a journeyman for a little bit, but he'll get that opportunity at some point.
Yeah, and it's just really tough to do anything productive when you have 7 different offensive coordinators in I think 4 or 5 years, something like that. So that is just absolutely asinine. He can't get his feet under him because every time you think maybe he's got a chance, the rug just gets pulled right out from under him. And I really hope that he does get that chance, but who knows? Chase, I want to go back to the Jags real quick, talk about Leonard Fournette. MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, legend when it comes to the Jaguars running game.
Beauty.
He put on Twitter after the Leonard Fournette cut, can anyone tell me what's going on in Duval? How do you draft a player in the top 5 and cut him 3 years later? How? How do you say his skill set doesn't match your scheme when he is your best player? What philosophy in football is successful without good players? I 100% agree with this. What are they doing?
Yeah.
They traded Yannick Ngakoue to the Minnesota Vikings for a second and a conditional 5th. And they traded Calais Campbell, A.J. Bouye, Jalen Ramsey, everything. And now they get rid of Leonard Fournette, and it's just, what are they doing?
It's an absolute nightmare. I don't get it. It's clear that they're trying to tank, but I still believe that their offense, and they have still some, their defense is in shambles, but they still have some good young pieces. The team can still do enough to exceed even their own expectations. They're gonna get at least a win or two extra than you think they are, just because they do have guys who are gonna work their ass off. They have a lot of hardworking players. They have some skilled players, but they're clearly trying to disassemble this team without breaking up the core completely. I don't care what you're trying to do. I just can't agree with just the flat out releasing of Leonard Fournette. I get that they said they couldn't get anything from him in a trade. We'll see if that's true or not. Maybe something will come out in the future. But the dude's good. His second year he was injured, and he kind of struggled a little bit because of that. But last year, he started looking great. He's someone who never had much of a challenge, in high school or college. He was always just bigger, better, faster than everybody he always played against. The NFL was his first real challenge, and it hit him hard. You could tell that it hit him hard, but he was starting to learn, starting to adjust. I hope he absolutely dominates anywhere else in the NFL, just because I like the Jags, but they deserve just egg on their face for this one. I hope he can just be dominant somewhere. Hopefully not with the Bucs, though, since I have them predicted to miss playoffs.
Well, he already signed with the Bucs.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, hopefully he's not just purely dominant with them, is what I'm saying. Hopefully, he's good enough this year. The team still goes 7-9, then he goes elsewhere, and then it's dominant.
Gotcha. I know what you're saying. But Chase, at this rate, your boy DJ Chark, he's out the door by the trade deadline. According to what exactly the Jags are doing right now, they're getting rid of all of their skill players for some reason. With your point on you thinking the Jags get 1 or 2 more wins than what most people would think, I don't know now. They don't have a run game. It's strictly a pass game, and it's not even that good of a pass game. So, and their defense is in shambles. Obviously, they got rid of all their big-name players. They still got Josh Allen and their 2 rookies, Kayvon Chason, C.J. Henderson. Miles Jack's still a nice piece, too, but that's pretty much it. I don't know. With Leonard Fournette being there, I think they had a chance to do what you think they could have. But with him gone now, it looks like Rykel Armstead can take the lead, or maybe Devontae Freeman if they do eventually sign him. Obviously, you talked about how they brought him in. But yeah, if it's a one-dimensional offense and that one dimension isn't even that good, I think it's going to be a lot of trouble in Duval this year.
I think their passing will be better than you think it will, and some other people think it will. There's other people who are in the same boat as me who think that this passing game can be solid. The offensive line isn't great, but it's also not the worst in the league. There's great receivers in that room. Tyler Eifert was once a great tight end in the league as well, and Chris Thompson's one of the best receiving backs in the league. So this passing game could be better than you think it is. The run game is going to be atrocious, so it's going to make it harder for the pass game to succeed, for sure. I see that in Detroit for years. But I'd still probably shave a win. I have them at 6-10. I'd probably shave a win, maybe 2 off them, put them at the 5-11, 4-12 range, because that's a lot more realistic. But I don't think they're going to be a 2-win team. I just don't think that's possible.
I don't know, dog. I mean, when you have a one-dimensional team, we talk about it all the time with, Derrick Henry and how we think this year there's going to be a lot of 8-man boxes against the Titans team just because of how poor Ryan Tannehill looked in the playoffs. I think that it could be the same effect, just obviously the roles swapped where you got 8 people in the backfield trying to cover, only 3 rushing, and yes, their offensive line isn't the worst in the league. That obviously goes to my Cincinnati Bengals, but they do have some terrible offensive linemen. Who was it? Cedric Ogbuehi? I think he's either a starter or he's a backup for them right now, which you don't want him on the team in general. The Bengals cut him. So, I don't know, dude. I think this team is a shoo-in for the first overall pick. And honestly, I hope that touchdown Jesus, I hope that Sunshine, I hope that Trevor Lawrence comes in and takes this team to the promised land because I do like the Jags. I think they make absolutely stupid moves, but I do like the Jags. I'd like to see them be successful at some point.
So I just want to mention their offensive line pieces. Cam Robinson, Jawan Taylor at tackles, still younger guys. Jawan Taylor especially, like a younger guy who I think has the ability to be a solid O-lineman in this league. Cam Robinson, we'll see. But then Brandon Linder at center, Andrew Norwell at left guard, Like those are two solid interior linemen, and then AJ Cann is just kind of whatever. But that's the least important position on the O-line at right guard anyway. So this offensive line can be I don't want to say they're going to be good, but they can do just fine enough to help support this team enough. And who knows, maybe since Michael Armstead is going to probably miss week 1 on the COVID list, maybe James Robinson comes in and rushes for like 300,000 yards and he is just the next Philip Lindsay. Like, he's an undrafted guy. It's possible. He's going to be given a week 1 role, basically out of necessity. So it'd be kind of cool because I got him in Dynasty. So regardless, as long as Armstead or Robinson both do well, I'll be happy.
Well, they better hope those two those two tackles perform well because obviously both younger. Jawan Taylor only 23, I think. I think Robinson is up to 25 years old. But both guys have struggled in the beginning of their career. They better step it up. I don't have any. I don't have any faith in AJ Cann. Not a big fan of his. However, I will give you Linder and Norwell, both very good interior offensive linemen. And the one thing is when you have a bad team, the offensive line looks worse than it actually is. So hopefully Linder and Norwell continue to be as consistent as they have been in their career, rather than taking a drop down because of just the overall team in general takes a drop down. But they're definitely going to need some help on those exterior offensive linemen if they want to do what you think they can do. I'm still not there yet. But Chase,
which is fine. I get it.
I did want to talk about very, very quickly Sidney Jones with the Eagles. He got released. He was a second-round pick, I think, 2 years ago. Definitely a shock drop here. I would have hoped that the Bengals took him in waivers. However, he did not get claimed on waivers. He's now going to be a free agent. Again, another thing another scenario where I think, just like Josh Rosen, doesn't get claimed. However, I do think he gets a contract. I'm sure that as a Lions fan, you would definitely be taking a chance on him if you were the GM.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? And I always struggle with our defensive coordinator's name because he's new. I always forget it. But he was the Eagles secondary coach, so if he likes this dude, he's familiar with him, and maybe he can say, "Hey, you come here. We can rotate you in a little bit." Especially, since like our cornerback room, it's like that's been true for Jeff Okudah. They're great pieces. Amani Oruwariye is probably going to start week 1, with some injuries and some just like not quite development yet. And rookie corners they struggle pretty often in their first year, so Okudah, people need to temper expectations with him. I would have no problem signing Sidney Jones. Just bring him in, see what he can do. Maybe he can, help compete and drive the competition and help guys perform a little better that way. Like, just why not, honestly?
Yeah, for sure. And Trufant, he's 29 now, I believe. And we talked about how he's had a couple seasons where he's been plagued with injuries. So, hey, bring in another guy, that'd be very helpful. I think Sidney Jones is a guy you'll see a lot of names a lot of teams come up to him and try to get him signed. However, I feel like if that would have happened, someone would have took a chance on him with waivers. But maybe the NFL knows something that we don't. And obviously that's very possible. Definitely a name I'm going to keep an eye on, though, in the next coming days. But Chase, let's now talk about our full slate of games this week. It's going to be so exciting. We have 16 games on tap. We're going to take a peek at what the games are, give some predictions, just go through it all, and honestly, it's going to be so exciting. So, Chase, let's first start off with the Thursday night game, the first game of the season. The Texans go to Kansas City to face the Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. Who are you taking in this one?
I mean, I got to go with the Chiefs. I like the Texans because of Deshaun Watson, but I mean, the rest of that team is just it's icky because Bill O'Brien just loves blowing up that team for no reason. So the Chiefs are going to win that one pretty handily, I would say. It should be a good matchup, though. It should be fun to watch. It's, first game of the year in the NFL. Super excited. Cannot wait.
Absolutely. And, I think there's a possibility of a blowout in this one, but being the first game, COVID season, some players may start slow. Maybe there's not a blowout, but the Texans obviously blew up their roster, and I think Bill O'Brien is as bad of a coach as he is a GM. So this game could be a little bit one-sided. However, I'm hoping for a good game with the Chiefs taking this one in my mind as well. Let's not talk about Sunday. As Sunday, we have 13 games on tap. We get to see your Detroit Lions. We get to see my Cincinnati Bengals. I'm so very excited. First up, Eagles, Washington football team. I think this one's going to be pretty heavily in favor of the Eagles. However, Washington football team's defensive line, maybe they can do something.
No, the Eagles are winning. It's the Eagles are winning. There's no way. Like, sure, that D-line has some solid potential. Just the offense is just going to be atrocious. Like, the running game is going to be so bad, and Dwayne Haskins is nothing special. And they really only have one proven receiving option. This offense is going to be historically bad.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. I mean, I'm hoping for Dwayne Haskins to do something. I think he can be a decent NFL quarterback, but we'll have to wait and see. Alex Smith, might have heard of him. He makes his comeback. He does make the 53-man roster for the Washington football team. An absolutely phenomenal story. And I think if he even plays one snap this year, he gets comeback player of the year.
Yeah, you gotta. I gotta agree with that, I should say.
Absolutely. All right, Chase, we now take a look at the Dolphins versus the Patriots. I think could be a very competitive game. Bill Belichick announced Cam Newton will be the starter week 1. I don't think we're going to see Tua in this game. However, if he gets in, that's going to be one of the most exciting games to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a pretty highly low chance that Tua gets in. It's going to be very unlikely. So I expect Fitzmagic. He likes to perform in these week 1 games. We saw last year what he did. So maybe we get a nice little shootout. Maybe Cam Newton can run all over the Dolphins D, and then Fitzmagic can just drop dimes left, right, and center. I lean the Patriots in this game. At the end of the day, though, even though their roster's kind of decimated with opt-outs and some cuts and stuff, it's still hard to just go against Bill Belichick regardless.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm taking Patriots in this one also, but slightly. I think the Dolphins are going to be a competitive team this year. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think it's going to take a couple weeks for them to get into that competitive stride. All right, Chase, we go to the NFC North next. No, not your Lions, but the Packers versus the Vikings. This game in Minnesota. I think this game could be a very exciting one to watch. Outside of course, watching the Lions game, this is probably the one I want to watch the most when it comes to that 1 p.m. time slot. Who are you thinking is going to take this one home?
So in my playoff predictor thing that whether they predict the record, I'm more likely or pretty sure I chose the Vikings, so I'll stick with the Vikings in this one. BC Johnson starting at that second receiver spot over Justin Jefferson. A little triggering, taking him in my rookie draft and Dynasty, but he'll have that spot soon enough. They still got Dalvin Cook, obviously, in the running game. The defensive back room is obviously where it gets pretty sus, but the whole team in general, I like it enough where this Packers team, only having really one passing option, is going to kind of struggle. But it should still be a good game, but give me the Vikings.
I am going to agree with you on this one, as I think Aaron Rodgers is just going to have a terrible time in week 1. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that doesn't always start on the right foot. He does pick it up towards the end of the season, but he's now got to go against Danielle Hunter and Yannick Ngakoue. That is not going to be a front that you want to be facing. I think it's going to be a tough one for Aaron Rodgers, and I do give this victory to the Minnesota Vikings as well.
Yep.
All right, Colts, Jags. This one, easy Colts victory. Phillip Rivers going to pass at least 6 touchdowns.
No. I'm pretty sure I picked the Jags in this one, honestly, just for the hell of it. So, you know what? We're going to keep it in the Jags just for the hell of it. Obviously, I'm not going to be shocked if the Colts win, but I might as well ride my team. I'd say that Gardner Minshew is going to pass for 300 yards in this game, and they're going to win off of a game-winning drive. Be that specific. But yeah.
300 yards?
Yep.
Okay, then. Yeah, I'm going Colts. I don't think Rivers is passing for 6 touchdowns, but I think this team is just
Obviously
the better team overall. So that's why I go the Colts. But we now go back to the NFC North to see the Chicago Bears, Johnny's Chicago Bears, head over to Detroit to face your Detroit Lions. This one, a really tough decision for you, I know.
Yeah, so tough. The Lions are going to poop on the Bears. So looks like the Bears are starting Trubisky. No matter who they start at quarterback, it's going to be a train wreck. David Montgomery's a little shaken up. We'll see if he even plays. We could see Cordell Patterson taking the starting running back snaps for some reason. That would be a sight. So this Bears team, they're really going to struggle this year. I have a feeling, I thought they were going to maybe try to sign Fournette just to offer a little more competition stability with Montgomery there too. Maybe do 1-2 punch with them. Obviously they didn't. So the running game, it should improve, but will probably have similar issues to last year. The passing game is going to be pretty much the exact same. Nothing has really changed. And the defense just isn't enough. So, yeah, give me my Detroit Lions probably by 1 or 2 scores.
And I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. I think the Detroit Lions do take this one, even though I think I had the Lions at 7-9. I think it was. Go check our NFC North predictions to make sure I'm right. But yeah, I think I have them at 7-9, but I do have them taking their first game off of the Chicago Bears. However, I do think that the Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles thing, he said he wasn't going to announce anyone. It does sound like it's going to be Mitch Trubisky now. We get a couple little rumors about that. But I do think that it was a smart idea for Matt Nagy to not announce their starting quarterback until the day of the game. It's going to be much tougher for Patricia to figure that out because they are different style of quarterbacks, but they're both bad. So even though they're different, they're both bad. The Lions are going to take this one, I think. All right, Chase.
The Lions are great.
No, I didn't say the Lions are bad. I said the Bears quarterbacks are bad.
Sorry, you lagged a little bit on my side because of the connection. So never mind. We're good.
Okay, yeah. Disclaimer: I'm not calling the Lions bad. Graham, Alec, Grandpa. I'm not calling the Lions bad. I said the Bears quarterbacks were bad. Just a little disclaimer. Put that out there. All right, Panthers, Raiders. I think this game could be sneaky competitive with the Panthers coming out on top, maybe. But this one is in Carolina. Who do you think, Jace?
You know how I predicted the Panthers. The Panthers' only win is against the Washington football team, I think. Or maybe they have one more as well. I can't remember what I had them at. No, I had them at 2-14, but they are not beating the Raiders. I have the Raiders winning this. I like Derek Carr. I like Josh Jacobs. I like their receiving options, especially this year coming in a little more stable than last year. And the defense should be better too. They traded for Raekwon McMillan. We'll see if he can offer a little support to that linebacking group. But give me the Raiders.
And one thing a little surprising we didn't talk about yet, Lynn Bowden, a very exciting rookie that the Raiders have. They traded him to Miami, something I definitely didn't see coming.
No, I can't say many people did. When that happened, I was like, really? Why spend a 3rd-round pick on a guy to give up on him before he can even play in a game? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, Josh Jacobs, their main guy. It's not like they needed Lynn Bowden, but at the same time, if you're going to use a 3rd-round pick on him, why are you going to trade him for a 4th?
Yeah, and he would have been their best receiving back. I think he's better than Jalen Richard or anybody else that enters that backfield. And they're even talking about using him as a wildcat quarterback type of thing in some sets, or even just a normal quarterback because he played some quarterback last year for Kentucky. So they could have used him everywhere, but they're like, nah. And Jay Gruden or John Gruden just wants his just a normal, annoying offense. It has to be exactly his way. Nothing can be different. Nothing can be creative. He doesn't even like Derek Carr, which makes no sense to me. But I don't know. John Gruden, screw you.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm going with the Panthers in week 1. Matt Rule, greater than sign, John Gruden. Enough said. All right, Chase, Bills, Jets. This one is in Buffalo. And no fans, obviously, but should be a pretty one-sided game in my opinion.
Yeah, Bills Mafia is going to be quite happy in this one. Josh Allen should have a nice game. He's not going to have to throw the ball a ton, I don't think. I think the Bills get off to a pretty quick lead, and then they can just kind of run it, throw some passes here and there. But it'll be a more running game than anything. We'll see what we can get out of Zach Moss. I'm going to have to guess. Singletary will probably start the game as a number one, but at that point, they're going to definitely use Zach Moss. They spent the draft picks on him, and if they're winning by a good amount, you might as well just try out, see what you got. So I say the Bills probably by maybe even 2 or 3 scores, and the Jets just never have a chance.
Yeah, I think the Bills definitely take this one. I think it could easily be super one-sided. However, I am really hoping that Sam Darnold can take that next step, prove that he is a top caliber NFL quarterback. Will it happen? Not really sure. Let's hope he's not going to the bars, because instead of mono this year, he could get COVID. That's would be absolutely atrocious for the Jets, as they would probably drop all 16 games if that were to happen.
Yeah, that would obviously not be great. Darnold is a guy that I like too. He was my favorite quarterback, really, like coming out of that class in terms of like what I thought his ceiling was in the NFL. I thought he had the highest ceiling and could be the most productive guy. Obviously we're not seeing that so far. If the Jets have another bad year, like they're gonna move on from him, which I don't think is fair, because like year one quarterback, no matter what happens, you should cut him some slack. And then year two, last year had horrible receiving core, dealt with mono, played way earlier than he definitely should have. Mono does not affect you for just like 2 or 3 weeks. It affects you for months. So he was probably playing through things he should not have played through. So if they struggle this year because of the opt-outs and because of the lack of talent still around him, like it's not going to be his fault, but they are going to move on from him, and they're going to heavily regret it, because he'll go somewhere else and he'll become a legit starter.
Well, I'm not sure if I agree with that exactly, just because Joe Douglas, the Jets' new GM, heard a lot of things about how he is in love with Sam Darnold. However, he hates Adam Gase, which, honestly, who doesn't? I think that even if Sam Darnold performs somewhat poorly and the team is bad overall, I think that Joe Douglas gets rid of Adam Gase, gives Sam Darnold 1 more year under a new coach, maybe 2 more years, because obviously that coach QB connection needs to be good for a team to succeed. But I'm hoping that we do see the best Darnold that we've seen thus far this year. But let's now move on to the Ravens versus the Browns. This one is in Baltimore. I think this one's pretty easy. I'm going the Ravens.
I think it'll be a solid game. The Browns have some potential to do some damage this year, but yeah, it's the Ravens. They only got better from last year, and if they only got better from last year the way they dominated, they should be in a pretty good spot going forward for this year. Lamar Jackson, he'll probably have less rushing yards and rushing attempts than last year, because it's going to be a little more predictable, but he'll still have that legit threat, and he's a better thrower than a lot of people think he is. Like, he's not like an unreal thrower, but he's got throwing ability. So this offense is going to be just a well-oiled machine, as well as the defense is going to be dominant. Patrick Queen is going to be freaking awesome this year. I really like the Ravens as a potential Super Bowl team.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how they use that run game. Obviously, still Mark Ingram. They got J.K. Dobbins as well. So it'll be exciting to see how they utilize those players. But next, we look at the Atlanta Falcons and the Seattle Seahawks, the very last game in that 1 p.m. time slot. This game, I think, could be competitive, but I'm going to give my edge to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I also choose the Seahawks. Russell Wilson, he's in for a good year this year. Should be an MVP favorite. I like the Falcons. Obviously, this offense is just full of first-round picks. Got a bunch of potential. I think it's going to take them probably a week or 2 to fully get set, though. New running back, new tight end. It's without playing any preseason games, it's going to be a little slower for them. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, they're just still kind of the same team. So they're obviously good last year as well, and being the same team, they're just going to come on in and they're going to start hot. I think they're going to be one of the hotter teams to start in the NFL. Probably win at least the first few weeks. But it should still be a good game.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what's wild, Chase, is you and I both thought Russell Wilson could have been the MVP last year. However, the last 2 to 3 weeks, the amount of articles and radio segments I have heard about why are you holding back Russ Wilson? Just let him go free, let him control the offense. Thinking about him being an MVP when he was being held back, could you imagine how good this team could be, how good Russ could be if they do let him go free. I didn't think he was being held back, but apparently he is, and he was that good already.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. I didn't realize that either. He might be the best quarterback in the league. He's probably behind Mahomes, but he might be better than Mahomes. Honestly, it's pretty close. Those two are in a tier of their own. So if he's just given the reins to say run loose, do your thing, and he really does his thing and balls out, he could prove to be the best quarterback in the league, maybe the best player in the league, win that MVP, maybe take the Seahawks to the Super Bowl.
Well, behind Joe Burrow, obviously.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Just had to clarify that. All right, we now move on to the 4 o'clock time slot. The first game would be the Chargers versus the Bengals. This game, I can't wait for it. I think it is going to be the only game on CBS, so it should be national television. I absolutely am thrilled to watch my Bengals. I gave them a loss in week 1 when I gave my overall prediction for the Bengals. I had them at 6-10, I think, and I had this game being a loss. However, I'm changing that. Give me a win for the Bengals.
I chose the Bengals to win this in playoff predictor. I think the Bengals are going to be an 8-8 team, as I said. So I have the Bengals beating the Chargers. This Chargers team, they're going to slightly disappoint. Obviously, they're going through a little bit of quarterback transition. Tyrod Taylor, he's a solid starter, don't get me wrong. He's going to have a rushing floor. He'll be a solid fantasy quarterback, but in terms of passing the ball, it's nothing flashy. They're not going to get much done offensively. And then losing Derwin James on defense, that hurts them tremendously. The defense is still solid, but yeah, give me this Bengals offense, which has the potential to be electric over the Chargers.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that I am going to keep an eye on is, will Melvin Ingram play? Melvin Ingram has been holding out since Joey Bosa got his big contract. He wants a restructured deal. He wants to get some more money from the Chargers. Holding out of training camp, holding out of practices right now. He's there every day, but he hasn't been competing. So will Melvin Ingram play in this first game against the Bengals? I think if not, that could be absolutely huge for the Bengals, who already have one of the weakest offensive lines in the league. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but I do think that the Bengals could take this one, which shocks me a little bit because I'm putting my faith in the Bengals pretty low, so I don't get so disappointed like I did last year.
Yeah, that's fair to have, but you're gonna be happy with the Bengals this year. I'm telling you that right now.
I mean, if Joe Burrow can be Joe Burrow from LSU, they got Mixon, they got AJ Green, Boyd, Tate, huh?
He's not going to be exactly Joe Burrow from LSU.
No, he has to be. He has to be. I need 60 touchdowns.
Throw for 80% and 60 touchdowns.
I need 60.
He's going to be legit.
What if he comes in and just balls out and puts up 60 touchdowns, wins MVP his first year?
Yeah, just sets the passing touchdown record as a rookie. Yeah, that sounds like it's happening in the COVID season. Although I do have to say, I heard a stat the other day. The last time there was a shortened offseason, we had, I think, 3 different 5,000-yard passers. So it's very possible.
Yeah, I think it could be because defenses are obviously going to be not as up to par with the COVID offseason. But let's get off the Bengals. This isn't a Bengals show, obviously. 49ers, Cardinals, this game in San Francisco. I think it could be a close game. I think maybe the 49ers start off a little bit slow. I'm not a big believer in Jimmy Garoppolo anymore, as he really disappointed me when I had him on my fantasy team last year. However, I will give the slight edge to the 49ers in this one.
Yeah, I'm choosing the 49ers as well. I still give benefit out to Jimmy G. He's a guy that I really liked, but he kind of disappointed. I just don't think he's the right quarterback for this offense, personally. I think he's got, if he's given more of the ability to throw the ball and do what he wants with it, he could be a little better. But they have him kind of manage the game, throw the specific types of passes, which, no quarterback likes being controlled, especially one who knows that they're actually a pretty good player. But, yeah, I'm going to lean the 49ers in this. Kyle Shanahan is too good of a coach, in my opinion.
I agree. Kyle Shanahan over Cliff Kingsbury. All right, the final 4 o'clock time slot game. We've got the Saints, the Buccaneers, Drew Brees versus Tom Brady. This one's in New Orleans. A very good matchup for sure. It's going to be tough now that Leonard Fournette's there, but I'm going to give my edge to the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I'm choosing the Saints as well. The Saints don't lose to the Bucs at home, and that's going to keep continuing even with Tom Brady there. It's pretty cool that we see Tom Brady and Drew Brees go week 1 against each other. Now that they're on rival teams, it's going to be pretty fun. But yeah, I got to go with Drew Brees and the Saints.
Yeah, it's a great storyline. You got Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, Bruce Arians versus Sean Payton, two of the best teams in the NFC South going at it. It's going to be super fun. I know you don't consider the Bucs to be one of the best teams in the NFC South. I think they're easily the number 2. I don't have much faith in the Falcons. Matt Rule, he's on his way. He'll be the number 1 in a couple years, but I got them as the top 2 right now. Let's move on to the Sunday night game. This is at 8:20. This one is going to be in Los Angeles. The Cowboys versus the Rams. Who you got?
Yeah, the boys are going to kind of handle the Rams, manhandle them pretty easily. I think the Cowboys finally have the right, pieces together and are going to take the right steps in the right direction where they can be that better team, be that legit competitor. I'm a big fan of offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. The only person on that offense I'm really not a fan of is Dak Prescott, but I still think he's good enough when you have Zeke, when you have those 3 receivers, and when you have the possibility of, what's his face, at tight end who I'm drawing a blank on right now.
Blake Jarwin,
thank you, geez. And Blake Jarwin, he's got some legit skill. With all that going, Dak should succeed, and this team, I think they're looking pretty good going into the season. So give me the boys.
I agree with you, and I'm going to have one of the most concise predictions of them all right now. Rams start off a little bit hot. Rams go up 14-3. Dak Prescott benched. Red Rifle Andy Dalton comes in, slings 3 touchdowns, 1 to Gallup, 1 to Cooper, 1 to CeeDee Lamb, and it's a wrap. The Cowboys take this one. Andy Dalton named the new starter for the rest of the year.
No.
Come on, that'd be so fun to watch, though.
There's a scale named after Andy Dalton called the Andy Dalton scale, which is determined if you're a good or bad quarterback.
And Dak's below it.
Named after you.
And Dak's below it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yikes. it'd be an awesome story. Let's be honest about that.
It'd be funny. It'd be funny. But then that offense would be crap.
No, incorrect. Andy Dalton's elite. But yeah, agreeing with you on this one. I think the Cowboys absolutely handle the Rams in their new stadium, SoFi Stadium. I can't wait to see it on screen. It looks so beautiful in Madden 21. We saw sneak peeks of it, obviously, in Hard Knocks. It looks super nice there, but when it comes to game time, I really want to see it then. All right, we now move on to Monday. We got 2 last games. I think these games could be pretty one-sided. At least the first one, Steelers, Giants. You're a Giants believer. I am not. Give me the Steelers all the way in this one.
It's going to be close. The Steelers, they obviously got the better D and probably even maybe the better offense. I'm not sure. I'm a big fan of Daniel Jones. I think he showed a lot of potential and promise in that first season. The receiving core isn't great, but it's solid enough. And when you've got Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley as well to that offense, that really helps, and they help supply that offensive line this year in the draft. It's going to be close. I'm just going to give the benefit to the Giants just for the heck of it, since they're a team that I'm riding on this year, saying that they're going to have good offense. But if the Steelers win, it would probably be the least shocking team I've picked against to win this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Saquon's going to have a tough time. Steelers already have a great defensive line, but they also have Devin Bush, who looked phenomenal last year, a very good run-stopping linebacker, and then they brought in Minkah Fitzpatrick as well. They got stars on every level of that defense. Minkah, Devin Bush, and then T.J. Watt, of course, on the defensive line. This defense, I think, is going to be very good for years to come, which really sucks because I hate them so much. I hate the Steelers. But I got to take the Steelers, and I think Saquon could have a tough game. Finally, Titans at the Broncos. Does the altitude affect the Titans here? Does the altitude affect Derrick Henry? Who knows? Chase, your thoughts on who's going to win this one?
Yes, it does, because the Broncos are going to win this game. It's probably it'll probably be a closer game though, within a score or two. But yeah, I'm leaning towards the Broncos in this. You're a big Drew Lock guy. I'm not, but I still like the defense, and I like Drew Lock enough where he should be able to get the ball to his weapons, and then they can go out there and just ball out. So I'll give me the Broncos.
I agree with you. I'm taking the Broncos on this one as well. Jadeveon Clowney got signed to the Titans just yesterday, or was it this morning? One of the two. However, I don't think he sees the full amount of game time in this
No.
game. I think this could be like a Khalil Mack type thing with the Chicago Bears when he first got traded there. He's on a snap count, maybe 15, 20, 25 snaps. But I think he needs to really get into the system before he can just ball out. So I think he'll either be on a snap count. Maybe we don't see him at all. If we do, I don't think he's going to have that big of an impact. Give me the Broncos as well. The Broncos have so many weapons, too. I mean, they got Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton. They have so many weapons that Drew Lock, he's honestly going to have a field day with these guys. And I think, like you said, I'm a Drew Lock believer. I think the Broncos can be a good team. I got them in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I do not, but
Well, that's because you're a Debbie on Drew. But yeah, that's it for this episode. We did a little recap when it came to college football. Talked about some fun stuff happening. We're like giddy little girls just freaking out, like, oh my gosh, football's back finally. Quick announcement before we end the show. Episodes are now going to be coming out on Tuesdays instead of Mondays. We want to make sure that we can recap games because usually we do our recordings around noon on Sundays, and obviously we're not going to be able to recap games if we continue with that trend. So episodes will now start to come out on Tuesdays instead of Mondays. So if you're a little bit worried next Monday, just remember, you only got to wait one extra day. All right, thanks so much for listening, guys. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us at WNP Sports Pod. That's again at WNP Sports Pod on Twitter. I will also link our Facebook and Instagram in the description as well. Make sure you go check us out there. If you are watching on YouTube, give us a like, give us a comment, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you're listening anywhere else, whether that's Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, make sure to follow us, rate us 5 stars, and it'll notify you when our next episode comes out. Again, we want to thank you all for listening, and as always, we're not professionals.